zum, 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 zum. Tá faltando um. O zum, 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 zum. Tá faltando um. O zum, 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 zum. Tá faltando um. O zum, 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 zum. Tá faltando um. O zum, 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 zum. O zum, 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 zum.
Post-pandemic, we've seen a lot of kids really suffering from a lack of social.
Que eu quero passar, pois o samba está animado. O que eu quero é samba, este samba que é misto de maracatu. É samba de preto veio, samba de preto. Mas que nada, um samba como esta tão legal, você não vai querer que eu chegue no final.
All right, that would be the pledge. All right, please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call.
Director Andrade.
Here.
Thank you. Director Hodges. Can we turn the mic on, please?
So it's on the front of the, there you go. And maybe hold, press and hold.
Okay. Director Rosen. It's not staying on.
Here.
Thank you. Director Hatcher.
So aggressive. Here.
President Lamnon.
I am here, thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, I meant to say that at the very beginning, which is to turn our mics on when speaking, because we, A, need to do that, and B, aren't within arm's reach of each other to do it for each other. So, yes. Okay. So we'll move on to our two study session items, and I'll pause between them for public comments.
Hello. Good job, guys in the back. Don't mind the guys behind the green curtain. Good evening, Board of Directors, President Lamnon, James Wheeler, General Manager. Tonight, we're going to take you through the presentation, pretty much kind of the state of the district. We call it Tales from the Parkside, but we're going to walk you through basically what's going on. We usually, thank you for coming. Usually when we're out on the road, we get more people, and we thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of give an update on what's going on. I think that you've all probably seen this multiple times, and we've seen this multiple times, but I'm not sure the finance staff, who I appreciate all being here tonight, has seen it. I'm not sure the IT staff's seen it. I'm not sure Lappin's ever seen it. I think Mr. Laska's maybe seen it. So when you cue it up, is it, if I hit go, does it go, or?
Will you please put the first presentation up? Thank you.
Look at that. Okay, so, oh, am I not on? There we go. Wait, am I not plugged into the? Did you put my?
The clicker isn't working.
It's not working. You got another one? I don't care. No. All right, well, we were established in 1944. The district encompasses, of course, unincorporated Alameda County, Ashland, Cherryland, San Lorenzo, Fairview, Castro Valley, and, I'm loud, and Hayward Acres, which is part of Hayward. Okay. We passed a $250 million bond, so we can tell you about a lot of the projects we've done. We are about 180 million, 70 million spent, 190, because we had the beginning financing, huh? So we're at about $190 million of it gone. As I think everyone's aware, we did polling, we paid for polling with the Trust for Public Land, and to see if we could go out to the ballot again in November to try to extend this bond measure to continue to do improvements, and the polling came back pretty bad, 51 and 54%. So we won't be going back out for a bond, but we had another meeting today strategizing how we set ourselves up potentially for 2 years. Fortunately, we think we have plenty of money for the projects until then, so. Our mission is up there, basically enrich quality of life for all community members by providing a wide range of recreational activities, parks, and facilities that meet the diverse needs and interests of the entire community and promote health, well-being, learning, and fun. Health, wellness, well-being, learning, and fun have been the kind of the core of the recreation side, and then on the park side, we like to just say safe, clean, and green. Committed to a wide range of programming and access, inclusive recreation. We'll get into some numbers. We have given away more scholarships, more free use of facilities for nonprofit and public agencies, started our inclusion committee, serving people with disabilities better than we ever probably have, and the low-income families are benefiting from free swim lessons for the last 2 summers, free pool at Royal all last summer, programs at Sunset. So we're really trying to be equitable and inclusive for everybody. I would say haves and have-nots, but I think it's different. Our board of directors, if you're curious about their terms, they're up here. Director Lamnin, Director Hodges will be coming up in November. I believe Director Lamnin is running again, and Director Hodges, as far as I know now. So we'll see if people come up with them, against them. I think probably one of the biggest developments, and the reason we're only we went to buy area within the district. Is that the laser pointer? Yeah, no, it's okay. Oh, no. It went to buy, oh, watch this. I know that works. So we went to by area elections. So now the district's divided into 5 distinct, it's a screen. Oh, I give up. So there's 5 distinct areas of the district now. These were broken up by ethnicity to try to equalize ethnicity, voter preferences across the district so that elections would seem more fair, and that all of our communities had a chance to try to be on our board of directors. No one ethnicity or race could dominate basically our elections. We have a board orientation we've developed in last years for better board training and additional training opportunities. And every year we monitor a district plan, which we started talking about actually last week in one-on-ones. 5 departments, 5 main departments, general manager's office. This includes the rangers, our district clerk for the meetings, analysts. Our administrative services department is finance, human resources, and IT. Capital and planning development department, measure F1. Basically, they're the administrators of the bond. I think it's Ms. Tiernan and 7 or 8 others, right? Parks and facility maintenance, director Dwayne Taylor. About, oh gosh, I think 80 of our workers in our workforce, almost half the workforce works in parks and facility maintenance, fleet, trucks, custodial, recreation, arts, community services, Adrian Lee Bird to my left. And that's just all the recreation classes, all the facilities, from the senior centers to the theaters, to the swimming pools, to the nature centers, to all of our buildings across the district, and then a lot of our facility rentals, outdoor programs, special events, all kind of gets in. I was remiss, I did not introduce Rekha Nayar, who's our finance director, sitting down on the end, and then to my right is Nicole Roa, government relations, communications, public information officer, and then to her right is Christy Briseño, who is our district clerk and executive admin. Okay, here's what we got. We have a lot of facilities, a lot of soccer fields. I think I was counting today, I think we have 5 large synthetic soccer field facilities with Castro Valley Canyon Middle School. We're a partial partner funder in that $15 million project coming online. And then turf fields, 41 full and 17 half courts. When you add the tennis facilities, we just have a sizable amount of courts, and we've been working on refinishing those, the 46 tennis and pickleball courts over the last 5 years or so. 4 swimming pools. I think the most notable thing there is that the plunge is in the middle of a $6 million renovation right now. And then I think the other thing we're really proud of right now is those trails, those 10 miles of trails. We put new trailhead signs at the top, new maps, mile markers, so that people could better enjoy the trails across our 10 miles of trails, which I don't know if we're really noted for, but they're ours. Okay. This is just an overview of the district amenities, local parks, and then we get into more community parks, regional type parks, the larger ones, and this just tells you where a lot of our facilities and centers and things are. This map and facility inventory is available on the website. We did do a map this year of all of our district facilities, a large foldable map. Also has the trails, also has all of our rentable facilities, so that was pretty exciting. For me, I think some of the best stuff that's coming out of our office right now and in conjunction with parks is the data that we're starting to mine. We've used our park evaluation scores, which we are in our 5th round. We developed a rating system about 3 years ago. We'll be doing another one in June or July, I think. I think it's impressive that our parks average 87 for maintenance, and all those scores would be higher if we could figure out how to get a handle on the continual graffiti we're battling. And I mean, I could hire 5 painters and I think we'd still be battling. So we did add another painter a little while back, but we're trying to problem solve on better graffiti abatement. Volunteers, neighborhood watch, park workers with buckets of stuff, and just trying to get through that problem. And it's kind of blighty. We're using Placer AI, which uses people's phone data. If you allow notifications on your phone, it doesn't tell us who you are, it doesn't tell us where you live, it just tells us through they'll be able to look at the data on the phones, and they can run it through and figure out how many people visited our parks. So last year we know that we had 5.9 million visitors to the Hayward parks. 2 million of them were from out of town. 998,000 were at the sports park. And 2 years ago last year it was 3.9 million. So our park use expanded. And I think part of that is to measure. One, we're sitting in the last phase of phase 3 of the San Lorenzo Community Park. There's a $40 million, 40-acre complex now between the buildings and the centers and the new fields and the playgrounds and the dog park and everything else. So very exciting to be able to know we can geofence any event, downtown streets in Hayward. We can geofence the footprint of the event, and we can go in and figure out how many people came. We can figure out where they came from, what they did before and after, how they supported maybe economic development in Hayward. So there's a lot of good information there. Also, how long they stayed, how long were they engaged in these events, and we can use that for all our community events. Verizon Network Fleet tracks our vehicles with GPS, and it tells us when you start your vehicle, where you drive, when you park, how long you're there for, if you idle too long, if you speed, if you brake too hard. It also tells us how long we spend at parks and when they drop the truck off. Those 3 items in combination are being used basically to make our operations more efficient, so that maybe we need another park worker, maybe we need better routing of the park workers. The other main goal here is a reduction in time behind the windshield, carbon footprint, commuting, traffic. So smarter routes, satellite yards, those kind of things, and all this data. If a park score is low, we can look and see, is it because too many people go there, it's just crowded? Is it because the park working routes don't allow time for someone to spend enough time in that site? So using that data, we can figure out how to make our workforce more efficient and our parks more beautiful. And then we did a community survey and a correlating needs assessment. I think we surveyed almost 660 people from across the district, and we now know like the top 5 program areas people want by area. We chopped the district into 6 areas. So what programs do they want by area? And then what do they want overall? And then the other one is what facilities they want by area. What we learned, I think the number one thing we learned is open space and trails. Nature connections are one of the largest things the community wants right now. So as we sit next to the SkyWest Golf Course, a potential future hard park, working with the city right now to figure out how that would work. That's another 90 acres and some other parcels. I think parcel 8's getting close to being turned over, and they've talked now about parcel 4 and 7, so more open space. And I think that if we could figure out how to get our hands on it, that'd be great, because it's preserved for time then, right? No one can build on it, but maybe they can't build on it now. That's why they're giving it to us. Okay, some of our other initiatives. In recreation, we worked on core programming models, meaning what's our core services? Usually this starts like what's really community benefit, what's individual community benefit, what's individual benefit, what are our core programs that meet those, and then what are our cost recovery percentages on those? How much do we want to get back? What do we give away, like the free swimming lessons because everyone should swim, versus what do we charge for maybe like private golf lessons because that's an individual thing. So went through and identified the programs, identified the cost recoveries, and we'll be coming back to the board with the final model for that very soon. We had that conversation today, thanks to Adrian. A lot of equity-based programming. As I said, we've given away more scholarships. We've probably gone $300,000 or $400,000 worth of scholarships in the last 5 years, probably 3 to 4, right? Yeah. And just trying to make sure everyone has access. Our biggest scholarship problem today is that we award up to $500 and we put it in people's accounts, and if they use $200, we don't know where that balance sits because we hold it for them. So we're working on that problem right now to figure out how to make the scholarship dollars go longer, and going back to the foundation and saying, hey, you gave me 5 times as much 4 years ago, what's going on? Updated program evaluations for improved user input. So at the end of every program, you get a Survey Monkey fill out, you give us some feedback, we use that to improve the project. It's kind of like the develop the program, throw out the program, evaluate the program, retool the program, throw out the program, evaluate the program, get the input, retool the program until we get what people really want, making their use of their leisure time even better. Asset and programming based on community priorities, like I told you. So a lot of the programming we're starting to do focuses on the things people wanted the most, and facility development eventually. I credit the HR department and the recreation department with inclusion from pretty much everybody for the creation of the district-wide inclusion working group. Basically, this is a group of people who maybe have special needs, maybe have family with special needs, maybe work for an organization that takes care of people with special needs, and they come together and give us feedback on our programs, facilities, park designs to try to be more inclusive as a district. We have expanded adaptive recreation programming into outdoor programming, better and more adaptive swim lessons, arts, right, in the arts. Adaptive sports leagues, we just started, thanks Adrian. I know we've done a lot in adaptive recreation programming, really trying to meet the needs of everybody. It's very much a left behind population sometimes, because quiet. Growth of Access for All program, that's Access for All is where a kid wants to go to camp, we'll do an intake, we'll figure out can this kid go to camp with just us telling the camp director, hey, this child's got some special needs, let's be aware, and they'll coach them up. Maybe they tell the camp director or some camp staff, hey, this kid, or maybe we provide one-on-one program aid for this child in a camp so that they can have the full experience also. And then our ADA's transition plan, we continue to implement it. I'm pretty proud of the fact that we've taken some of our capital money and done some of the less attractive or less, I'm not going to say the SEX word, but those with the Y on the end. But we're going out and looking at like Bay Trees, a highly used facility with a crappy parking lot. Delray down here, parent drop off, lousy parking lot. So I feel really proud. We did the back of Sorensdale, which makes sense because our program for developing disabled adults are there. So really a lot of focus on ADA plan transition, access for people into programs, adaptive recreation, the working group for feedback. So we feel pretty like that's an area we've charged into in the last year or two. I tell people all the time, one of the things we developed recently was an Emergency Operations Center handbook, which tells us how we would run the Emergency Operations Center in the event of a disaster, but also emergency operational plan, which is for the staff and the workers and how we would respond. Everybody is an acknowledged disaster service worker, and everybody is receiving incident command system training, which puts us on the same page as the city, the county, the school districts, the state, the feds. ICS basically makes sure everybody speaks one language in a large regional or local disaster. We're focusing on the interagency agreements now, Alameda County and the city of Hayward, so we could kind of have seamless sharing of resources, mutual aid, and being able to respond and make sure we know for a fact we've designated a lot of our facilities as shelters, registered them with the Red Cross. We know people gather in parks. So this plan addresses all of that. And then the last thing, our PIO and communications person worked to develop a critical communication plan. So what this basically is 30 or 40 potential things that can go wrong, and an action plan and a guide for what to do when those things happen, and what to communicate, who to let know, and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna go past this one. Yeah, we'll go past that. I guess if I go back, so we were recognized by the California Special District Association as one out of 2,000 special districts. We were recognized for our role in mental health and wellness through our partnerships. Again, thank you, Recreation. Through our partnerships with the County Department of Public Health, Trabasio Vasquez Health Clinics, we were able to help people find recreation prescriptions, go out into parks, learn how to go to a rec center, a senior center, meet someone, not feel awkward. So yeah, it was pretty special. And like again, it was really our work with the County Department of Public Health and passing through of funds for these programs that allowed us to do a lot of equity and health equity programs here also. Okay, in the admin services department, I think the first thing I would tell you is that we hired a new finance director about 7 months ago, Rick and they are from the city of Vallejo. Great acquisition for us. Sorry for Vallejo. They have a soft spot in my heart because I used to be over there, but basically a couple slides about us. 70% of our funding comes from property taxes and special assessment revenue. Measure Q generates about $3.5 million. It's $29 per household. And then the property tax varies, but we get 0.001% of all the property tax funds us to the tune of about $66 million a year, but 23 million leaves and goes to the state for education. So we really only operate on about 2/3 of what we were set up to operate on, but we're doing okay. I think rents, concessions, and fees, 9.5 million. That's basically recreation programs and services. There's some grant money in there. There's some other money in there. But mostly those are the buckets where our money comes from. And total revenue in 24-25 was for 46.6. We don't have 25-26 yet because we haven't closed the year. We're not at July 1st. We have done a pretty good job with our adopted reserve policy, met our targets in 2022. We've run a balanced budget to ensure stability into the future. We do 10-year forecasting and long-range planning on our budget. We established a pension trust to try to flatten out our pension payments over time for our past employees and the future people that will be in that system. Probably the coolest thing in there is that we extended our AAA rating with Moody's, our credit rating, which will allow us to be in a better place when we go to sell bonds the last round of bonds in a few months, the 40 million. So, human resources, oh my gosh, human resources. So we used to use the county, we were in the civil service rules, we came out of COVID, they said they could hire one person every 6 months. We had 15 vacancies, so we developed an employee handbook. We pulled it all in-house, and our HR department and our HR director, Natalie Wong, who just walked in the back door, went forward and we took our recruitment in-house. We have in-house recruitment, 21 full-time employees, and 13 more transferred in the last year. So we keep our workforce viable. There'll be a report tonight if you're seriously interested in us on our vacancy rates and how we're doing employment-wise from Lappin Wong, but it's looking pretty good for us. We did change our rangers, 5 rangers, 115 hourly, 100 rehires. We're in the middle of summer. We just have a ton of part-time employees. We're the largest employer of youth in our district boundaries. A lot of people promoted or transferred in. 146. Yep. And we're getting ready to go into summer, so these people just even being here tonight, just like finance during budget time, I appreciate you all coming out. I know there's a lot going on. Made a commitment this year to training in the next fiscal year through employee reviews in December to developing and training district employees, trying to make sure that everybody gets some kind of training every year, whether it's a webinar or a conference or a brown bag lunch work group or whatever, but committing to continue to develop our workforce. And I think our commitment to this for the last 3 or 4 years is starting to show in the retention and the people we have and the job they're doing. Human resources, implementing the learning management system, able to track all of our training, able to do like the ICS training online and all the other training that we do, and tracking that by employees now, which is really great when it comes time to do annual reviews, pat people on the back or say, hey, I need you to do some development. And then I think fostering workplace engagement. Of course, that picture's from safety day after I taught first aid and I made them leave their bandages on for a picture. But workplace engagement, I think, is pretty high. We do annual, of course, recognition for people at 5 years. We do an annual employee picnic. We do a big safety day. And then Fridays, every month or so, we'll have a Friday. We had the annual ping pong tournament at Friday at lunch. They're mostly at lunchtime. People just take a break, come down. We've been out to the golf course, teach people how to hit balls. Still waiting to go to the pool with everyone, but the plunge will be finished soon. Okay, a lot of money spent on IT. About 4 years ago, probably, we had somebody come in and start working on us and assess and we had a lot of problems. We had been stacking servers on servers. We had, and through no fault, in fact, Hey Yao's here tonight. Hey held this thing together like pretty much by himself for years with a little bit of part-time help. We got the information. We now have an IT manager, Hey, and Stefan. Is Stefan still here or did he leave? He got to go? We have a pretty bustling IT department right now. We got a report back that said we had 57 laptops that no longer could be updated with the Windows software they were running. The guy told me, I think, that my servers had more ports than a submarine. So we really tried to dive in to modernize the servers. Now we're at the next phase, cybersecurity. None of our information online. Some of our neighbors got hacked. We haven't been hacked. We won't be hacked. We've made this huge commitment. User education, password changing, dual authentication, really just to make sure that nobody's taking our information. We don't have a lot of information anyway. It's all in the cloud. I think it might be like some past employees, that retirees maybe, that we might haven't migrated, but they could all be out of the servers by now. And we don't keep anybody's. So of those 60,000 registrations a year for recreation programs and facility rentals, we don't keep anybody's information on any of our servers. It's protected in the cloud with the software systems we use. I will have to say, we continue to implement our enterprise resource planning, ERP, we call it Wyatt ERP, or Wyatt. This has been a tremendous job, and again, I'm really glad the finance people in the back row back there all here, because you guys have crushed it for like 3 years now trying to implement that, and so we appreciate that too. We got a new VoIP, voice over internet phone system. Thank goodness, because the phone on my desk when we got that was literally 43 years old. We went back and looked. It was probably the first push button system, data system in a phone. Okay, maybe, oh, actually it was 43. I'm like, that's 70s. IT, disaster recovery, business continuity plan. If we do crash, we can get back. We can lock it all down in like a minute and we can get it all back up. So again, Natalie and her crew, Gary Grove, and then all that stuff migrating to the clouds, which I was alluding to. Okay, in recreation, arts, and community services, I would probably have to say the proudest moment is the after-school arts program at Weeks right now. Just won a state award for the program, free after-school program in South Hayward for kids that don't. We have people driving from San Lorenzo and other places just going, I can't get this free kind of after-school programs in art and music and dance and everything for my children. So very, very popular program. Oh, this one runs?
Yeah, but we don't have to watch it.
Nah, we'll keep going. So the Arts Camp has again been incredible. You can see some pictures of it actually here. Kids do sculptures. They bring in board members, staff members, Chamber of Commerce members, the mayor. People come in and every Friday they judge all these kids' art projects and they have a great time. 40,000 registrations in 2024. I'm sure that's gone up. 5,000 kids in summer camps. That's about 40 to 50 camps a week, I think. Is that about right? Yeah. And that's a 53% increase in what we've been doing in the last 5 or 6 years. That's basically, we don't say pre-pandemic anymore because I'm tired of talking about it. It's 5 years gone. But that's 2019 means the same thing now. So we've gone up significantly. I think again, 200,000 plus people. These are like walk in, drop through, not registering for a class, just coming down to play billiards at the senior center or going down to the nature center and walking through, or the pools for rec swim. 42 special events is no small thing. And I think the bigger thing is that while the city's budget is struggling in the school district, we have funded 3 downtown streets for the city and through the chamber, the Mariachi Festival, upcoming Juneteenth. We'll be doing the backpack giveaway for the Hayward Unified School District, paying for that now. So these agencies that are kind of in a little bit of flux and trying to balance things out, we've stepped in and done a lot. And the whole philosophy was nobody in the community should lose any of these critical special events because people are having trouble financially. And when we go back to that community needs assessment, the number one thing people wanted from us was special events. So we decided that we would take our funds, put them into existing special events rather than make more and have a bunch of half events. So we feel pretty good about the special events. And I think the other thing I am proudest of is we have waived over $250,000 in park and facility rental fees for our government agency partners, the county, the city, the school districts, and more importantly, probably 40 community-based nonprofits, giving them a place to meet or hold a special meeting or be able to do community events. So we feel pretty good about that. Some of these are just large end-of-year picnics at Kennedy Park and stuff, but we've waived more fees in the past 5 or 6 years than I think we ever have. Again, we talked about recreation for all. 400% increase in the amount of scholarships we awarded. We talked about the Health Equity Initiative, 1.2 million in free programs in the last 4 years. Actually, it's probably 3 years, coming into 4 years. 1,400 weeks of free summer camp, 9,000 free swim lessons, equity and outdoor education and arts access. So taking kids out, biking, kayaking, hiking, camping, and then also in the arts, the access for all in the arts, getting kids in those after school programs. And then mobile recreation, if you've been to a special event in Hayward, you've probably seen our climbing wall. We also have bikes and skateboards and ramps and arts and activities that travel with mobile rec. Significant investment in youth. I need to thank the Recreation and Community Services Division, and especially Armando, our program leader too, in outdoor programs. We held our first youth summit this weekend. We had about 45 youth, and the whole goal was to get feedback for a youth master plan where we can identify what kids can do, what they don't like to do, and more importantly, what they'd like to see in the future as we figure out what to do programming and allocating resources. The arts education at Weeks needs no more talking. The after-school sports leagues, we started doing that with some HPN money, and that's kind of drying up because it's federal, so we're figuring out how to carry that forward. And the foundation's new mission is to go out and find me money for low and no-cost programming. So we're working with our foundation for that. Teen events, we started asking youth commissioners and teen events what they want, and we have a monthly series of free teen events. They've done baking, they've done clay, painting, right? A lot of different stuff. And actually, kids are showing up for this. There's 45, I think, at the baking, 40 at the baking event. And, outdoor education programs for teens. I think the most exciting thing in outdoor education is that we finished the challenge course at Rowell Ranch. So we now have a high and low ropes course to be able to take school groups, summer camps, adults, leadership groups, the city council, our board, all out there and swinging from some cables and having a good time. And then I think arts access has just been huge, whether it's dance, theater, or other events. Rick's getting all excited. So looking forward in recreation, one, we're spending a significant amount of money right now on the interior of the Hayward Shoreline Interpretive Center as we shift it from marsh interpretation and education to sea level rise and climate change. And it sits on the bay, and on a king tide, the water's slapping the deck under the floorboards. It's a perfect place to teach people about climate change and sea level rise, so the displays. And I think the coolest thing is Adrian and her staff were able to work with the 5th grade teachers from Hayward Unified School District because it's part of their curriculum. So we made sure that this is a free place for field trips. As you know, the Agricultural History Center, we just opened up at Meeks with the Carriage House. The Shoreline Interpretive Center, Sulphur Creek, our goal is just continual free field trips to enrich the lives of the students in our district, to come out there and take their kids on trips, get out of the classroom, go explore. Adaptive sports programming again is going. The challenge course is opening. We got $100,000 from the Center for Disease Control to provide free swim lessons and drowning prevention at Cherryland Elementary School. We're hoping it's just a kickoff. And actually, I was at the California Water Safety Summit 2 weeks ago and met the guy that gave us the grant. They're very excited. He came by to meet with us. And then, like I said, the Agricultural History Center down in the Rock Corner, that is that's basically the idea is that the Meek Estate has this huge, incredible agricultural history, as does Alameda County. So we took the Carriage House, put in interpretive displays, built a garden where kids can go learn and garden and grow, mansion tours, that they could go see the historic Meek Estate, and then maybe someday even taking what they grow and going over to the community center across the street and cooking it in the kitchen. Maybe you make a tomato basil pizza or something.
Also free swim at Grant Elementary in San Lorenzo.
Oh, free swim at Grant Elementary here in San Lorenzo too. Oh, so there's 2 schools in that. Beautiful. Okay, parks and facility maintenance. As we told you, we're using the data metrics to make sure that we're being as efficient as possible, meeting the community survey needs. The park evaluation scores tell us we need work, and then trying to run a more efficient parks and facilities department based upon the data we have. Oh my gosh, what, 18 million on the energy efficiency? 12 in bond, and 17, about 12 in bond dollars and 5 million in our funds that were rebatable for the roofs. We ended up roofs, solar, lighting, HVAC. We had to go into some bond dollars to fix some roofs so they could support the solar. But at this point, we're going to be coming to a close, and we should be approving that very soon. And then the pumps and wells projects, I think we had 7 kind of bad wells, and we're turning it into, I think we've rebuilt 4 or 5 now. We got a couple more we're still exploring. Try to get off the water bill. Ranger unit, safety in the parks is another big park initiative, working with the rangers and looking at fencing, lighting, other things that could help make our parks more safe at night. CARB compliance and reporting, we're in the middle of trying to convert our fleet from gas to electric. Downsizing vehicles, again, thanks to Director Taylor for kind of diving into this and evaluating, do we really need all these huge trucks? Could some of these guys have smaller trucks? Can we move to electric vehicles? State mandates, all of this, everybody's having a hard time complying, including Caltrans, who can't even get close. So we're watching this carefully and watching legislative committee meetings and stuff on that. Charging stations at hard sites will be our next goal in kind of this sustainable green initiative. And then we continue to work on like a graffiti abatement program. We just got to start trying different things to see if we can make it all go away. I told you the new signs at parks. You can see a new hard sign, our monument signs, the old ones with the rainbow trees fade out. New parks come in as we redevelop them. The Hayward Community Garden, 70 plots, still probably the largest community garden in Northern California that we're aware of, with individual plot holders, not just a big garden. We're working on developing a compost hub for the city so people can go and get compost. And we were working on a tree nursery with 100,000 trees. That kind of fell through, but we've run into 2 or 3 different groups that were in Thomas Amalo, our management analyst, is talking to try to figure out if we can get groups back there planting and using that property. And then there's a lot of park renovation projects. We have 22 FEMA projects, some of them dating back to 2017s in the rain, some 2023, the taper slope coming up to be mitigated. So we continue to try to just repair the things that happened to our creeks and trails and properties during the big floods. All those are in progress. It takes a long time, and FEMA has kind of slowed down for some reason. Okay, capital and planning, oh my gosh. Created in 2017 after the public passed the bond in 2016. The voters approved that measure by 78%. I don't know why we didn't have great polling on a potential bond in November. I think part of it is we've built all these beautiful parks, so people think things are good. I don't know. Nobody wants more taxes. Nobody wants, and the cost of living is too high, is what we really learned. Tell you about that. Last round, 40 million in September. Now we spoke to them. And I think the other amazing testament to Megan Tiernan and her team is that we have found $55 million in grants to match the $250 million in F1 money. And if you want to see more, you can go to haywardrec.org, Hard at Work, and it'll show you every project and pictures of everything. Okay, what's going on now? Ashland Grove on East 14th, right across from Jack Holland Park, sorta, and the Reach Center. That building on the bottom, that big white building, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second, is the Affordable Housing and New Community Center. This is 2 parcels we bought, 4.5 acres, old car and auto shop and stuff. And then the other one, I think, the Club Trocadero, I think it was, or Zamora, Club Zamora. I can't believe I forgot that. I had all that. Club Zamora, there was a grocery store, there was a mattress factory. We bought all that stuff. And we're turning it into this beautiful park. And the park on the left side has begun construction, and I think they're doing earth work for some EPA stuff on the other side because it was an old auto shop. Bidwell Community Center. So the old Bidwell School closed. We bought it. It sat there. We've been working on a renovation, a redesign, permitting through the city, how many parking spaces, all these kind of issues. It has been a rat hole for vandalism and theft and copper wire and everything you imagine you hear. And then unfortunately, about 3 weeks ago, somebody went in and lit a big brick of fireworks in the middle and burnt a big chunk of it down. So we're working on the insurance to get it back to where it was, and then we'll go forward and bid it. It's designed. It was out for bid for a contractor, and now we have to change the scope a little bit. So, but it will be a beautiful building when it's done. Similar to this, you know, we renovated this, and look at it now compared to what it was. Carol Pereira Park at D and Clay. We have some preliminary schematic designs for this park that were just to give people an idea of what we hope to do. Nothing's really been finalized in this park, but we do know, you can see that the Foothill Trail that we're trying to run from Grove Way all the way down to Union City through the Caltrans parcels and everything, a north to south pedestrian and bikeway runs through this park. There is a creek, so there's some considerations of the riparian corridor, trying to make sure we keep it real and good, preserve it at a minimum, and then work on restoration plans maybe for the future. Mount Eden Park is currently in renovation, and I drove by the other day, and that new playground, that really big tall playground, looks really cool. It gets a fitness court. It gets some of the tennis courts kind of turned into pickleball, some remain. New lights for the baseball diamonds, the soccer fields. This is a pretty well-used park. I love it. The Meek Mansion estate's there. The front area is like this beautiful green space. It'll get a walking trail around the park, and it should be completed sometime late summer. The Hayward Plunge, you can see we had to scaffold it all the way to the roof, re-nailed, re-bedded everything in that literally 90-year-old barrel roof, repainted it, went down the other day. They're getting ready to do some tile, lay some tile and then plaster it up. It'll have a new plaster bottom. It's always been painted paint. It's never looked as beautiful as it could. Resealing the deck, going away from red. Put deck drains in. This pool never had deck drains, so the water would go on the deck, and we just try to get rid of it at the end of all these swim sessions. So an incredible project, continuing, kind of like peeling an onion because it's 90 years old, but I gotta give credit to Diane Hardy, who's on this one, and just, she loves this stuff. She loves the plumbing stuff, everything else. So we're blessed to have Diane on this one, and I can't wait to get this thing open again. Some of our partnership projects, what you see on the left is the Canyon Middle School soccer fields. As you know, the district contributed $7.5 million in the school district, or 7.9, and the school district matched that amount. We were gonna put in more. We thought we'd get a lighted field. The neighbors didn't really want one, which is okay, but because it went down to 50-50 splitting instead of us paying more for night use, the school district's going to operate it, and it'll be 50% community access and 50% will be the use during the school day. And we look forward to Castro Valley Soccer Club with 1,400 members having a place to play soccer in Castro Valley. And now I go back to the carbon footprint, them driving all the way down to Oliver E. Alden or Stonebray every afternoon when everybody's on the roads. So the goal is to get everybody soccer in their neighborhoods so that the neighborhood kids can play in their neighborhoods and we don't have to have people drive so far. Oh my gosh, La Vista Park, our total project investment is $5.4 million, but there's 15.4. There's also $18 million in park impact fees. This is a $33 million park on the hill below the Vista development on the top of Tennyson. It'll have some great park amenities. Large soccer field that will also be a floodplain in the winter, which is kind of neat. That's a Central Valley thing. Good parking, good pathways, great vistas, another park up on the north end. So this project, designed and dreamed of by the city, we've kind of been pulled along, but now that it's underway, we can just celebrate and get this park built. What have we finished? Oliver E. Alden Sports Park. This is just the soccer fields. The Clover was built with the impact fees from the development. But as you can see, 930,000 visitors to the sports park last year. We're finding people from Fremont, Union City, across the bay. Everybody wants to come play at our sports park because it's in better, pristine conditions, and they like it. Mission Hills Driving Range, one of our first projects. You can see synthetic turf driving range, double decker, and we also have, we put Top Tracer in 10 stalls. So you can go down there and for an extra $10 for an hour, aside from buying your balls, you can hit, you can watch velocity, loft, distance, everything, and get immediate feedback for your swing. It's going pretty popular. I think the newest thing now is we're just entering into a new contract with our restaurant vendor, and they're going to start providing, they were asked to, in that new contract, to provide food and beverages service to the driving range from the restaurant. So you'll be able to hit a QR code, order into the restaurant. We're gonna buy them a little back carrier for one of our golf carts, and they'll bring food back and forth. So we think the Thursday night Top Tracer long ball leagues, you can go out there and play Pebble Beach with your friends. We think we'll start to see a lot more momentum in using those stalls now that there's the ability to go out there with a few friends and have a beer and hit balls, because that's, you know, I hate to say it, part of golf, I think, for a lot of people. The fitness courts, we have 3 fitness courts. We're putting in 3 more fitness courts, Bidwell, Birchfield, and Mount Eden. I think they're working on Birchfield right now. Yeah, we drove by the other day. What the heck are they doing? Wait, and I'm like, fitness court. So these are great. This is our answer to affordable health and wellness for everybody. No gym membership. You can go on there, you can scan a QR code, and on your phone it'll tell you all the different exercises and workout stuff you can do. The Hayward Community Garden, as we said, looks beautiful here. Almost 12,000 visitors in 2025. We know that again from Placer AI. Cost about $1.5 million. The beauty of this is that there's another, we call the back 40. There's a whole nother area that will be developed over time for larger plots, smaller plots, nonprofits that grow and propagate and give away. The city's compost hub will all be on the backside by Berry Avenue, so we're really looking forward to getting that rolling. We had some conversations with the city last week. The Hayward Area Senior Center, this is one of my favorite renovations, I think, that we did, because we didn't expand the footprint at all, but we went inside and made it beautiful, took a deck and made it into a library. Just another great project, and this place is used a lot. Edendale Park, this was one of the very early ones too that we completed. It's next to Edendale Middle School. $1.3 million, went by the other day, still looks great. Very happy for that. Via Toledo, I don't know, when did you guys buy Holy Toledo property? The church? 2015? Yeah. So this was a property that we had, and once we passed the bond, we were able to develop it. So the support for bonds to develop new parks. This is another really beautiful park that's being really well taken care of, and as you can see, it gets a lot of visits. Fairmont Terrace, another park kind of up above San Leandro, Castro Valley, going up Fairmont. This park, I don't know, we don't have the visitor data, but this is another park, and the beauty of this park, I think, is that you can also walk up through the back and then connect into East Bay Regional Park open space, so it's kind of a takeoff point too. But it's got dog park, new playground, it's got a nice restroom that we put in. Kennedy Park, oh my gosh, $19 million. They wiped most of the whole park, I think, except the Ferris wheel and some of the buildings. Everything else leveled and started over. As you can see, almost 500,000 visitors to Kennedy Park last year. Pretty cool. And I drove by it today and it was great, except for the broken sprinkler head that Dwayne had someone come fix for me, so life's good. The Sunset Futsal Court at next to Sunset Pool, next to the adult school and the DeSal complex. This was a joint project. We spent about $3.4 million. PAL got a $950,000 grant, I think, from the Valley Foundation. And this is if you haven't seen this, this is a really cool example of what kids do when it rains and how you play soccer year round. And this futsal is great. It's fast. Kids love it. And it teaches them essential skills for future soccer players. Weeks Community Park. We have done a lot of work in Weeks Community Park. We've added 2 new group picnic areas, rebuilt another group picnic area, took some old tennis courts that weren't being used, converted them. Now we have a big multi-court there. We have a skating group that loves this place. We have futsal players that love this place. We improved the basketball court, and we're getting ready for one more round, and I think we'll be focusing on security and lighting at this park because we have a lot of sort of nefarious activity there, not all of it. Palmacia Park, another great renovation, and look at that, 30,000 visitors this year. This is a school next to the Palmacia School, a snack bar, but all new playground, and fitness equipment, seating area, and you can see the picture in the middle on the top. That is a storybook trail where kids can read and walk and read and walk, and kind of a cool concept, and a fitness court that they had. Southgate Park. Oh, we renovated the playground, which was great because I really felt bad for that playground. Trying to utilize the greenways better. We worked to put some disc golf in there, thanks to Michael C. Williams and some other people. The basketball court got renovated. The tennis courts, the only time I ever visited there, they were doing dance on the tennis courts because they didn't have access to the community center, which broke my heart. But you could tell, we can walk up to a tennis court and tell if it's used or not. If the net's broken and no one calls us, fix the net, they're not using it much, big dirt, pine needles. These courts weren't as utilized, so we converted this to pickleball, and it has people playing all the time. But we're not converting all our tennis courts because we have a very large contingent of tennis players, Mervyn Morris, Bay Trees. Let's see. Sulphur Creek Nature Center, new outdoor classroom was very exciting, and some improvements to the site, the lawns, the walkways, an amphitheater. Very exciting project, and this is just a small phase. Right now we're starting a $10 million campaign to rebuild the Nature Center, make it into a new Discovery Center that will rival others in the East Bay and across the peninsula. Ashland Zocalo, another East 14th project. This is another award-winning park. We just got an architecture award. The most notable was they really liked the trellis on the plaza, right? The person who designed it, the architects gave it an award, and that was one of the things they really called out, how cool. This park was designed to be a big plaza-like park. Markets, you can see the trellis at the end of the wide part of the lawn in that area. Food trucks, vendors, markets, farmers markets, all those kind of things. A little stage in the back, nice lawn area, and a really cool play structure for that neighborhood. Again, Ashland, Zocalo, Mateo, and then we'll probably get to Unity in a second. These 3 parks are in about a 2-mile stretch up East 14th. That was the most densely populated, poorest poor neighborhoods in all Alameda County. So we went out and spent about $40 million buying and building parks in this neighborhood for people from your gracious bond dollars. The skate parks, we have in-ground parks. We had a bunch of above-ground parks, 4 of them. They were all hurting pretty bad. So we went through, and for, not a lot of money, we replaced all these in huge impact. The little kid down on the left is the one that came to the board meeting and basically said, Mervyn Morris Park stinks. Can you build me a better skate park? We're like, we can't do an in-ground, we don't have the money, but we can sure give you new grind rails and a new half pipe. So I know, you got one in your backyard, huh? New half pipe. Oh my gosh, Mia's dream come true. All ability playground at Tennyson Park. This is what we believe is the largest all-inclusive playground. We opened that a few years ago. We just finished phase 2. You can see bank shot on the right. That's basketball for all, accessible basketball for all abilities. And then you can see the pump track there. And we got some little speed demons on this track. My favorite story, Mad Maxine, they call her Mad Max. She's a BMX racer. She's like 7 years old. She tears it up, and the letter we got from her dad basically said, thank you. I don't have to drive to Livermore or Pleasanton anymore for my kid to practice. I just go there for races now. So pretty stoked for Mad Max. I told you earlier, Greenbelt Trails. You can see new Greenbelt Trails with maps. They were getting pretty run out. and you can see directional signs and mile markers down these trails every quarter mile, so you know how far down the trail for safety and for your own wellness. Agricultural History Center, we redid the stables, cleaned it up. That's inside, displays, equipment, stuff. Okay, and then the ag demonstration. I know, I'm getting through it. San Lorenzo Park, you can see it, you're here. Pools, both pools got mechanical room upgrades, so these two school district pools we operate will last for another 20 years. Delray got an improved parking lot. I just got the hurry up talk. Ashland Root Center, 74 affordable housing units upstairs in conjunction with RCD, 12,000 square feet of rec center, free preschool in the back for 48 kids a day. We got, for $5 million, we got about a $15 million rec center. Unity Park just down the corner. If you drive by Mission and Maddox, you'll see Unity Park. This is slabs where Coca-Cola be. We wiped it out, colored it up. Pickleball course, places to ride bikes, very active park on the weekends. This is the challenge course we just built for kids and leadership. Oh my gosh, so many basketball renovations, $5 million worth of those, and tennis courts. We talked about the energy upgrade, 12.5 with a 29 million return in cost savings. Very exciting project. You're going to be able to ride your bike from the bay up to the Ridge Trail at one point. And this is the trail that'll run along the San Lorenzo Creekway. Our foundation continues to impress. I think the coolest thing is that we have our foundation executive and another employee are trying to get into Ninja Warrior. One of them took second. You can donate there. Thank you. We're going to, unless there's questions, which I don't, we're going to try to move right into the budget session because we're coming up on the meeting. Our regular meeting might start a little late, but that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and cheers to all of the staff who make all of this possible and the community support that is the engine for all of this. I know we probably have some questions and some comments, but what I do think we'll do is go ahead and go to budget, and then I'll hold a public comment opportunity and a board comment opportunity at the end. Does that work for everybody? Okay. Thank you. Very good.
Okay, I'll take over now. Good evening, board members. Rekha Nair, Finance Director. I wish my story is as upbeat as Jim's, but I've got dense numbers and very sobering numbers. So with that, I'll start with the proposed budget. And before I start, I've got Kenneth, who is our new finance analyst. And then my moral support is right there on the last seat, the whole finance team. So just to recap the highlights, and I didn't realize the screen will be so far, so I need glasses. Last year's budget, how we are ending, the revenue. So when we do the budgets, we usually have projections. That is where we think the year will end, and then we have the proposed, which is the new budget. So for the projections, based on the numbers we've got for revenue, we're going to be about 294,000 above what was budgeted. Expenditures are also trending pretty well, so we will be below our expenditure budget of 230. We will be meeting our targets. And we think that we will have a balance of about 2.3 million over the targets. So basically we are saying that is because that's what we use as the new fund balance for the proposed year that we are coming up with. And then once we close the year, we will be sure what that number is, and then board can decide where to put that money, whether it's for CIP or something. And now looking forward to the next budget is we are presenting what they call a structurally balanced budget. That is when the expenditures are within the revenue that we are generating for that year, so we are not dipping into our fund balance. And our cash flow and operating reserves will still be met, so we're sticking to that. And then the next slide, this will be quick. This is just an overview of all our timelines. We did present to the committee on April 21st, and then we'll be coming back to the board for adoption on June 15th. Next slide. So high-level general fund, where we are. We had, like I had mentioned, our revenue is expected to be about 50.621 million. And our expenditure is 50.558. So we are within the revenue and expenditure, that's in the public sector, that's a perfect budget because we want to be making sure we are spending what we are raising. And then, but on the other hand, I keep mentioning this, that it is a tight budget. We had to go back and request every department to look where we could make cuts without impacting services that we will be helping with the parks and recreation. So the next slide, I'll go over this quickly, but it's basically showing our trends, which is revenue versus expenditure. And like I said, we try to stay within that level. There was one year that we were above, but then since then we have been staying within our revenues. Next slide will show this is the comparison of the revenue and expenditure again. The brown is services and supplies, and the blue, what we are trying to show is our salaries and wages. And we are a service-driven industry, so that is our biggest expense. But at the same time, what I'm trying to show over here is we have been holding services and supplies constant for quite a while, and there's only so much that can be held, and so the pressure is slowly building on that. Next slide, please. Again, trends and I'll be going into a lot more detail as far as the revenue is concerned, but the main thing that you see over here in blue is our property tax. And if you see that the property tax growth has fallen to 2.5%, that's one of the lowest we have seen in the trends in the years that has been following. It's not surprising. We knew that this might be coming our way with interest rates that high and not that many homes being turned and brought to the market. It does impact the property tax that we will be earning. It's not doom and gloom. This is usually cyclical, and so we are hoping that in a few years this will turn around and our property tax will come back to where it was. We are being saved by recreation, who is still churning out great projects and raising the revenue and the expense. So, next slide, please. This is of the previous slide that we showed, but again, I'm trying to put over here is that the orange-brown line is service and supplies. As you see, it's almost like a flat line, and with inflation coming in the future, that has to start increasing. And with wages, the way it has grown, we're going to start seeing a slowdown over there as well. Next slide, please. All right, so now we pull everything together as far as revenue and expenditures. And then what I had mentioned earlier, the first line is taxes, and taxes has grown at 2.5% compared to the previous year. Services, that is mainly recreation that brings it about, that's about 12.3%. And then the others are pretty small. The ones that you see in negative, those were either one-time or various grants that have not, or donations that have not come through, so it shows as a negative over here. When it comes to expenditure, we have wages. The wage increase had already been negotiated, so it's a combination of not only the COLA, but increase in CalPERS, increase in medical, and increase in things that we just cannot have control over. Service and supplies, we have tried our best to hold it again as flat as possible. One of the biggest one you'll see in the slides to come, the big expense is the elections. That's about 400,000. So again, cannot be avoided unless we don't need to spend it. That's a different story. And then debt service, the last line is the debt that the district took over for TELP funding. And we are working to get those projects closed out and start seeing those revenues come in soon. But it's a lot is stuck with PG&E right now. So hopefully by June 30th, we'll see some changes. Next slide, please. This is when it comes to, again, revenue and expenditure, but we are differentiating it by departments. And as you can see, the revenue generation for when it comes to property tax, we put them in what they call the non-departmental. So it's the common department. And then the next revenue generator is recreation. When it comes to expenditure, the biggest is parks, and then second is recreation, and then the others are pretty small. Capital looks very small because they are a separate fund and are managed by their multi-year projects. So over here, it's just the basic that capital has as expenses. Next slide, please. High level by department, and that little donut is made into a table out here. And I will be going into each of the departments in the slides to come. So basically over here, we are showing the breakdown. I will call out the non-departmental because we don't have a slide for that. And over there, that's the revenue that you're seeing. And then the other revenues that show up in non-departmental is the lease tower rentals that we have. And then as far as expenses are concerned, those are, one of the things that we brought back was the 250,000 discretionary line item that was there. So we have put that back, and it's up to board whether you want to take it out or not, since we were able to balance the budget with that. So it's there. Okay, next slide. Now we'll get into every department, and I'll go through quickly, just putting the highlights. General manager, this is where even the board's budget is rolled in. And again, you'll notice the common trend around here is service supplies is kind of flat. The only one that you see increasing over here, the delta that you see in the very last column is that 443. That's because the 400,000 for elections goes in over there. So that's the delta you're seeing. Other than that, everything else has been held constant. There will be variations in the internal service charges. And when we say internal service charges, that is for equipment and the risk fund. They both are charged out to each department based on their usage. So we did go through the whole exercise of trying to get all the equipment and all the vehicles of the district into one spreadsheet and then say, okay, which department is really using it? So there has been a movement in the internal service charges. Next is the administrative service department. That includes finance, IT, and HR. We did cut, as far as finance was concerned, 100,000 in our budget, mainly because probably I'm supposed to be stepping in and doing the work, so we should not be having so many consultants. And unfortunately for HR, our county medical fees increased. So we are in the county pool, and they increased their rates from 2% to 5%. With a double whammy of the increase in medical cost as well, so which is a percentage of the medical cost. And so now we had an increase of 140,000 in our budget in the coming year. That was quite a surprise for us, and Natalie could probably give more information. As far as IT is concerned, as Jim mentioned, they are all into cybersecurity right now, and they will be putting in new firewalls and upgrading their firewalls, so part of their budget is focused on that. And then the next one is capital. Capital's budget looks extremely small. That's mainly because what happens is most of all the staffing in capital, that is the 8 FTEs, are currently doing 100% bond-related work, so we charge that out to bond based on whichever project they're working on. So that's why when you look at the capital budget, their salaries look like 20,000, and that is only a section that is 5% of the director's time is charged to general fund for other work that the director does. The rest of it is all charged to the bond. So other than that, there is really no expense in the general fund. Parks is the next one. Dwayne worked extremely hard to balance this budget because there was just no money. And he had a very long wish list. I think we'd had to dwindle it down to maybe 3. He's doing an awesome job of evaluating whether it is the staffing schedules, the custodial schedules, and even maintaining services supplies, keeping everything flat. So we did hold on to the budget as much as possible and try to find efficiencies in what was happening, especially with overtime. How do we reduce overtime and still maintain the kind of services? So those are all the things that we will be implementing starting 1st of July, and that helped us to control the costs down. And then finally, the star of the show, recreation. They are increasing their revenue, and this is mainly from golf, and by about 13%. And they did bring down services and supplies, and just to balance it out, as she would say, that salaries increased, and I refused to give her any budget. So she reduced the services and supplies, but we do have still keeping a balanced budget with the whole thing. Oh, and then also their grants have reduced, so that also reduced the whole revenue line item that they have. And then moving on to one time. So when I'm talking about revenue, a transfer of 1.1 million, I will be going into a lot more detail to explain that, but basically a high level right now is we moved 1 million from our pension stabilization fund, and I will explain why. And then when it comes to expenditures, there's a one-time increase of 38,000 in our hourly for golf. And then there's an addition of 100,000 because we are looking into a new work order system and asset management system. We haven't decided on a software. We are still interviewing various softwares out there. But that is something we would like to implement to bring in efficiencies. So those are the 2 one-time expenditures. Okay, so CalPERS, always a fun topic, and we get our actuarial study from Foster & Foster, and what they have provided us, CalPERS, when they give us a report, there's always a lag of 2 years, and it's because CalPERS is such a big agency, and it takes them time to run the numbers for every agency, and so by the time we get it, it is 2 years old. Currently, as of the last report that they provided us, which is just 24, our funded ratio was 70%. That's for our unfunded liability. The projected unfunded liability is at 26.8 million. This is based on the study that Foster & Foster has given us, because CalPERS in 25 had a return of 12% on their earnings. So we are estimating that would give us a better number. CalPERS discount rate is at 6.8%. They had said that when they have a good year, they will reduce the discount rate, but they did not do that, which is good. And so because they did not reduce their discount rate, it helped with the assumptions that we are putting in for the future years. So totally we have, when we look at a percentage of payroll, we have the normal cost, which goes out of the payroll, which is for our current employees, which is at 7.7%. And then the district's normal cost is about 10.3%. And then we have the unfunded liability, which as a percentage of the payroll is 20.3%. The two graphs that you see on the side, which is something that now has become pretty common because we are promised that at some point this unfunded liability is going to stop. The one on top, and I know it can't see it very clearly, it's in terms of percentages, and the one at the bottom is in terms of dollars. Basically, CalPERS has said by 2036, 2037, our UAL will come down because of the percentage of classic members to PEPRA members, which will keep reducing. The orange line at the bottom is the normal cost. That will always be there. And the graph on top is a flat line because it's a percentage. The graph at the bottom shows it slightly increasing because it will be a percentage of payroll, and there's always the assumption that payroll will keep increasing, so that percentage will also keep increasing. So that's the update on CalPERS. And why am I talking about that? Because we opened a 115 Trust account, which is the next slide. And in that account, currently we have about 5.8 million. Based on the actuarial study, we would be, as I'd mentioned before, that we would be contributing about 23% towards that, towards our total CalPERS payments. And currently what we have is based on the 5.8 million, that is what we are projecting that we will have at the end of this fiscal year. So what the actuarial study has said is we are at an average over 30 years, we pay about 3 million a year towards CalPERS. And because our earnings is good because of the good market that there has been. And so currently since we have about 5.8 and we would be paying out about 3.6 million, there is that delta that is there in this account, and which we could draw. Yes, can be an argument that no, leave it there and let it just grow. But then on the flip side, there's always that when the markets are good, that's a good time to draw the money out. We don't know what the future will be. Based on today's rates and the earnings as of now, what the actuarial study says is for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we could draw $1 million from this account and still have a good balance in the account. Now, this study is done every 2 years. So 2 years from now, I might have a different story. This is all on today's earnings and the way it's going today. Why am I saying all this is we are drawing that 1 million, and that is part of the revenue that we showed to have a balanced budget right in the beginning. So that was one, based on what they had recommended, Foster & Foster, we are also showing this in our projections in our 10-year, which we will be talking about, the additional 1 million that will be towards revenue. Now, next year the story might be different, and we don't know if the markets will not be that good. We may not draw. We might just leave it there. Today the markets is good. We can draw that 1 million. That's a summary of the story. Okay, so after that very confusing explanation, now I'll come to something simple. We talk about the fund balance. As I had said, we look at where we think we will end the year. So the very first column is where when you had adopted the budget, what we thought the fund balance would be. And that's the 23 million. And then the reserve targets are below that. I'll come to that. And then we take that, and then we say, based on the revenue that's going to increase and the expenditures that's going to happen, what do we think our projected fund balance will be by June 30th? That's that new number of 24 million that we are putting over there. And we are saying, although we had said will be 23 million, we think it'll be around 24 million. And that, of course, gets carried forward to be the next opening fund balance for the proposed year. In all the scenarios, the bottom portion, what we are saying is we are still maintaining our reserves. So we will still maintain our 10 million cash reserve, and we will still maintain our 25% expenditure reserves. That is basically 3 months of expenses that we should be having. That's the first line. And then the very bottom line is the over or under. So we are saying that we might be a little bit over our reserves, and that's what in the very first slide I had said, that if we do close our year and we have a better year, then board can take a decision as to what to do as one-time expenses. It can be put towards any of the other reserves, or it can be put towards CIP, because we know that we are not going to be having a ballot measure, and so we have to start building our CIP reserves. And then the next slide. This is just those who don't like dense numbers and want a pretty picture. It's exactly the same story, but in colors, where we are saying that we have always met our reserve targets, and the blue is the cash reserve, the brown orange is the expenditures, expenditure reserve, and then the fund balance is the green. So we've always met our reserves. And the next slide, please. Okay. So over here, just recap, I've been talking all about general fund till now, and it make a good mention of all the other funds that we have. The general fund, we are talking in terms of the fund balance, that is the 24 million that I've already covered. We have the risk. We have to keep a reserve of 1 million. That's what you see as a fund balance of 1 million in the risk fund. The equipment fund, what our target is to generate a revenue of 1 million, and that's the revenue you see over there. That's the 1, 2, 3, third column, and that 1 million is internal service charges, which is charged back to each department based on their usage of equipment or vehicle. Pension is the 115 trust that we just talked about, and that's why you see that transfer out of 1 million, that 1 million that we are drawing from that account. And we will still be maintaining a balance of 5.3 at the end of the year. And finally, our debt service, that we don't touch, we leave it. It sits with the county, and that's where our debt payment goes for our bond measure. And next, yeah, we can skip this. This is very, very much the same what I had just covered, that for risk, our total budget was 1.5 million. Debt service, we have estimated, we have projected a revenue of 17.9 million, and we will be having a debt service of 3.9, which will be the principal, and interest will be about 6. And yeah, next slide. So this time I'm touching upon the equipment fund, because this was one of the funds that we gave a lot of emphasis and paid a lot of attention. Basically, working to bring all the equipment list and all the vehicle list into one. So we always had an equipment fund, but what we were doing was we were putting a chunk of money in there, and then it was like, oh, we need this now and we need that equipment now. This time what we have done is we are saying, no, we're going to set a budget. And we're going to have the approval, we're going to purchase as per that budget, and if after that you need something, you come back to the board and ask them, and we will then look at, again, because every time something is taken from the equipment fund, there will be an internal service charge that needs to be there. The internal service charge is about 1 million, and what we are expending out of it is about 600,000. We are trying to keep that cushion so that we can build in this equipment fund, knowing that we will have a lot more replacement coming in the coming years. And so we want to build this fund so that 5 years from now, we are not desperate and suddenly running out to find money to replace something that's broken. So that was the main basis of the equipment fund, and even during the board approval, you will see we will have a resolution specifically for the purchases. The vehicles are Dwayne's team, and they will be taking care of it. I know Dwayne is looking at right-sizing the vehicles as well, so even the replacement of the vehicles are not the same vehicles. He is looking into what is really needed and based on that. And then I know the 10-year is never the favorite of anybody. That's my favorite. Because the 10-year is what tells us where we are going, how we should correct ourselves, what is coming. And 10-year always looks like it's in the red, but that is the reality of it. We put certain assumptions in our 10-year because the growth of revenue came down to 2.5. We are saying that yes, it's probably going to continue at 2.5 the next year, and I could be totally wrong. Please don't hold me to it. This is my little crystal ball. So it might be 2.5. If the interest rates come down, the markets pick up, then after that, yes, we will have a better. So we will be flipping over to the Excel spreadsheet, but for now, these were some of the assumptions we put in. As far as the expenses are concerned, the assumptions are mainly based on what's the inflation rate. So we put the assumption at 3% for various services that will increase. As far as salaries, the coming year and the year after that is based on the MOU, but after that, we've actually brought it down to 2% because we said it's not sustainable to maintain such high rates of COLA as when it comes to salaries. So with that, Kenneth is going to help just toggle over to the Excel spreadsheet because the tab looks very tiny. This looks equally bad, but let's see. What we are trying to say over here is our model is based on change in percentages in every field. So this is pulling in the numbers from, you see the salaries and wages tab. We put in assumptions for salaries. We put in assumptions for benefits. That's the next one. So for benefits, we are saying, where will medical go? Where will CalPERS go? And each line item, we put in an assumption. Then we go over pension based on CalPERS, and even our actuarial study. What will that look like? Then we go into non-personnel, which is services. And that's where we put in the 3%. And the beauty of this model is that it's not set in stone. 3 months from now, whatever changes, we could change this and know where we are heading with our 10-year forecast. 10-year is a lot into, I don't see light at the end of the tunnel. It's too far out there, but 5-year is more reasonable. There are a lot of things that we could say within 5 years, yes, this could be a change. And the beauty of this model is that tomorrow, if we want to purchase something, $1 million, we plug that in here and say, okay, what's that going to look like? What do we have to tweak? What do we have to cut to continue balancing this 10-year model? So as much as this model looks a jumble of numbers, it is a very important tool, at least for the finance world. And with that, I think that was my last slide. Wow, I did finish in a very, I didn't realize it was such a dense number slide I finished. But our next steps are we have to put this make a public notice in the papers, which will be somewhere around mid-May. And then in June, we will be bringing it to the board. And then July 1st will be implementation of the new budget. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you to the finance team for all this work and to everybody who's been trying to make things balance. Thank you, everybody. I'm acknowledging our time, but I also do want to respect the opportunity for comments and questions. So I'll go first to the public. Are there any cards, Christy?
I do not have any cards, and I don't see anyone online for public comment.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wanted to make a comment either on our Tales from the Park side or finance? Not seeing anybody, so I will go to my board. Is there any questions or comments for now? Go ahead.
Yeah, Rika, you mentioned early in the presentation there was 250,000 in discretionary funds that may be able to be put back. Could you just explain that comment, back into the budget?
Oh, we did add the 250 in the budget. So currently, the balanced budget that you're seeing is including 250 as an expenditure. But if the board would like to spend that money on something else, then we could take that line item out and put it towards some. That's what I meant. We could take it out and put it somewhere else. Yeah.
No, and luckily I do sit on the finance committee, so we spent 2 hours going over this, so you answered a ton of my questions, and the 10-year is one of my favorites also, but if you see, because of our pension stabilization fund and forward thinking, after that 10 years, we go back in the
Yes,
black. So.
it actually goes back into the black, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's good. Thank you.
It worked. So I want to thank you for presentation, Reka. I also was on the finance committee, and so it was great to get a big bite of this beforehand. There was one thing I wanted to actually, it's more, I think, to explain so the public can help understand. You talked about the county's administrative fee is bumped up to 5% now, is that right? And in addition to that, the insurance rates have also gone up.
Correct.
So it's like a double hit.
Yes.
And we've talked about, is there possibly another way of lowering the administrative costs, kind of like how we did our own? No. Okay. Okay.
We've had that discussion with HR, who handles the benefits, with the finance director. There is no alternative to that. We can't go out and get farm out Kaiser anywhere cheaper. The answer is no.
All right. That was what I was hoping. It was kind of like how we did our own internal hiring separately. I was hoping there was a way of cutting that. Okay. So thanks.
Anything from the other side of the table? Go ahead, Blue.
Well, it's a very thorough presentation, and it looks like we're going, we're going in the right direction, and we could, go with the budget process. The only question I had, and this is not really part of the budget process, I suppose, but just for maybe the public's edification and ours, I wish there was a way that we could, when we did a lot of the bond advertising, we're going to do efficiency, and we would use a lot of our funding to make our operations more efficient. And I wish there was a way that we could show that our new fields are using less water, and of course we have some information on our energy. And I just wish there was a line item, but it's not part of the budget process, I understand, and it's
exactly.
more of it's part of a staff extra information. But otherwise, that's the only thing
We continue to spend a lot of time as a leadership team talking about telling the story, how to go out and do it, where our efficiencies are, what we've done good, what we haven't done, and we'll continue to do so.
Otherwise, I'm fine with the budget as it is, so, as shown.
Okay, thank you. Director Hodges?
Thank you. You did a great job. Hard to follow all the time. Did good.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate all of the work that is reflected in both of the presentations tonight. Thank you. I will be sitting with the budget. I may have more questions later. The only one I have for tonight is gas. In terms of, I appreciate the work to keep services and supplies low, and gas prices are going through the roof. So how did that factor into the considerations?
Well, we did increase the gas I think, I'm trying to think by what percentage we did increase that line item. We had offset, so the way we were able to manage that was we offset it by reducing the water consumption. And we also know that once the TELP funding or the project gets done, we should be saving on electricity with all the solar. So we kind of took a balance between all that and said, yes, this line is going up, but let's look at, because for TELP funding, we were given a cash flow projection. They had given us that. So we considered that and said, we should be seeing some savings over there, and that could offset that. Now, the increase in gas prices is a direct one that you're seeing. There will be other inflationary pressures that will come in. Probably by mid-year, we will have a better understanding, because right now, I don't think even the federal government has got an idea of what the impact is, so we're just waiting. And the good news is for the public sector, it always takes a year before anything comes through. So, you know, we probably will see the pinch of it by the next budget cycle.
Gotcha, okay. So more conversations as always to be had. All right, unless there's anything else, I once again appreciate all of this great work, and will encourage us to take, it is now 6:46 by my clock. We'll take about a 5-ish minute break to turn over to our general meeting and reconvene at that time. So we're adjourned for a little bit.
Hi, Les. We're getting ready to test for audio. Give us just 1 minute.
Teachers, keep on teaching. Preachers, keep on preaching. Words keep on turning. Doesn't bother me too long. Oh no. Lovers, keep on loving.
Okay, let's all settle back in our places. Okay, good? Okay. Wait, we lost a board member. Oh, there he is. Okay. All right. Welcome back, everybody. I want to apologize. We had a time certain public hearing, and we did miss our time. I apologize for that, but we are going to pick up that item right now. And so this is our public hearing on our public agency job vacancy report, and I will turn it over to Lapin.
Honorable board members, good evening, hard leadership and community members. My name is Lapin Wong. I am a human resources analyst here at Hayward Area Recreation and Park District. And today, this item is being presented in accordance with Assembly Bill 2561, which requires public agencies to conduct a noticed public hearing each fiscal year prior to budget adoption. The purpose of this hearing is to provide information on the status of the district's job vacancies, as well as its recruitment and retention efforts. Staff will present this information to ensure compliance with the law and to promote transparency regarding these matters. Members of the public will have the opportunity to provide testimony and comments during the public comment portion of this hearing. With that being said, I'd like to jump into my presentation today. So the presentation is on vacancy and recruitment data as it complies with AB 2561, which I'll explain a little bit more a little bit later. In terms of the data that's being presented today, this is the second time that we are presenting this type of data. And in this case, the range would be from April 1st of last year to March 31st of this year. So what is Assembly Bill 2561 and what is the Government Code Section 3502.3? So in this case, Assembly Bill 2561 in the code became effective on January 1st of 2025 of last year. And the code requires that on an annual basis, public agencies assess and address vacancy rates to help avoid the negative effects of understaffing on the delivery of public services as well as on public employees. If a recognized employee organization has a vacancy rate over 20%, the agency is required to present additional information if requested by the organization. Full disclosure, we are well under that 20% threshold, so today the data that we are presenting today is all good news. In addition, the recognized employee organizations may make a presentation if requested as well. So jumping right into our data, the first point I mentioned was the vacancy rate. So vacancy rate is defined as the total number of vacant positions divided by the total number of positions multiplied by 100 to get to a percentage. So in this case, based off of the total number of budgeted roles that we have for this fiscal year, that number is 156.5 if we don't include our 5 board members into that count. Based off of the fact that we currently have 4 open positions, we currently have a vacancy rate of 2.56%, well under the 20% threshold. Some extra perspective, last year we had 3.88%, so it's an improvement over last year as well. And we can take a deeper dive into our numbers as well. If we parse out specifically our SEIU 1021 full-time positions, we currently have 3 vacancies, and that equates to a vacancy rate of 3.43%, which is equivalent to last year. Moving on to our next statistic is our average time to hire. So average time to hire is comprised of the time that a position is posted until the hire date of the selected candidate. And within that time period, there's a lot of varying factors that impact this date and time to hire. One could be the scope of the interviews, how long we have to have this posted for, how many interview rounds we have to go through for each of these positions, in addition to things that may be outside of our control, in addition to references, how many lead time that a employee might need before coming over on board with us. But what we can do is control what we have on our end in terms of lead time, and we've been able to reduce that down to 82 days. Some perspective, last year we were at 121.35 days, so it's a significant improvement from last year. And some additional perspective, before when we were doing hiring through Alameda County, we were hiring one hire every 6 months, so quite an improvement. So what can we attribute this to is our improvement on our recruitment efforts. First is our widespread advertising efforts. Whenever we post our positions, they get posted first and foremost on our district website. That gets cross-posted to Indeed, to careersandgovernment.com. We also cross-post to industry-specific sites as needed for each position. And furthermore, we do announcements to our internal folks as well, so they can spread the word, which we found to be the best place to find candidates. We're also very active in career fairs throughout the district, and we try our best to nurture prospects and volunteers and other potential community members that we may come in contact with that we think may be future recruitment efforts. Moving on to the next statistic is the retention rate. So this year we have a retention rate of 102.69%. So how is that measured? It measures the percentage of employees who remain within an organization over a given period. So it is over 100% this time because we started the year with 5 open positions. We've added 2 new ones. And with the success of the recruitment process throughout this year, we've had a net positive number of employees join us. So to simplify things, we've hired more people than have departed this year. Hence, we've got a over 100% retention rate. So what can we attribute this to? First and foremost, we've done a good job of making sure that our compensation and benefits are competitive to other jobs out there. We've done a good job of ensuring that we've fostered a good company culture, made sure that training is important, and we make sure that training is implemented throughout the year, and we implement a lot of employee fun events throughout the year to keep them engaged as well. Moving into another statistic, this is our last one, and this sheds a little bit more light from the retention rate. So retention rate is a very simplified formula, but in this case, the average turnover rate allows for you to see the churn throughout the year as well. So the average turnover rate is defined as the number of employee departures divided by the average number of employees during the same time. And in this case, we have an average turnover rate of 4.65%, which is an improvement over last year. Now, I mentioned last year during our presentation that average turnover rate is best defined and best used to measure within your own selves. So year over year, if you see improvement, that's a good thing. Because from industry to industry, average turnover rate can vary a lot. So with that being said, we need to identify during the public hearing any policies, procedures, and recruitment activities they may present obstacles in the agency's hiring process and potential changes that may alleviate such obstacles. So just like last year, after doing our research and looking at the numbers, we still feel that we have a very healthy and successful recruitment process at the moment, so no suggestions or potential changes are recommended at this time. So what's next? First and foremost, the district will continue to track job vacancies and recruitment data. We will continue to present recruitment data on an annual basis during public hearings prior to budget adoption. And lastly, we will continue to collaborate with hiring managers and apply recruitment metrics for strategic hiring decisions. With that being said, that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation and for the work. Really speaks well for our district and all that HR has been doing and all of the department heads as well. So thank you for all of that. And so I will go to just questions from the board for this at this point, if there are any. Seeing none on this side of the table. Anything on this side of the table? No? No. Okay. So at this point, I will open the public hearing on item 8.1 and ask for public comments. Members of the public may provide comments on the item. We ask that each speaker state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comments?
I don't have anyone online for public comments.
Okay. Anyone in the audience? And no cards. Okay. Then I will close the public hearing, and I will turn it back to my board for any other comments on this item. Nothing at this point? Okay. This is an information-only item, so we have no vote. All right? Thank you. That concludes this item. Thank you very much. And with that, we will go back to our regular order of operations. A friendly reminder that that this meeting is being translated, and so to the extent we can remember to speak slow for our translators and our interpreters, that would be much appreciated. Do we have any general public comments?
No, I do not have any cards, and I don't have anyone online for public comment.
All right. Then we will move to our consent calendar, which is items 6.1, 6.2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Are there any items to be pulled? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion on the entirety.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. So moved by Director Rosen, seconded by Director Hatcher. Any further discussion on any of the items? Seeing none, we'll go to vote.
Is it not showing up on your tablets? Can you try to hit the refresh button, please?
Refresh?
And if that doesn't work, I'll do a roll call vote. No? Okay. We can do a roll call vote. Sorry about that. Okay. Director Andrade?
Aye.
Director Hodges?
Aye.
Director Rosen?
Aye.
Director Hatcher?
Yes.
President Lamnon?
Aye. And that sounds unanimous.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll move on to 7.1, written communications.
Good evening, Honorable Board of Directors, President Lamnon, Jim Wheeler, General Manager. We received correspondence from Mr. Gregory F. Simonson, 2223 Colony View Place in Hayward, asking that we consider funding $10,000 to the Hayward Municipal Band for their concert series. I recently received, between the time I received this correspondence and tonight, I received an email saying that they had found a funder and they were just looking for a waiver to use the park, which we have provided since, I believe, the beginning of this whole thing many, many, many years ago. So we wanted to put this in there because it was written to the district, of course, and the board of directors requesting that, but they have withdrawn that request, and I think yesterday or probably this morning, I signed the fee waiver for the concert series at Memorial Park. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. We'll move on to unfinished business, item 9.1, acceptance of bay trees.
Good evening, Board of Directors, President Lamnon, and our esteemed directors. I'm here to invite the board to consider adopting a resolution to accept the Bay Trees Park Access Improvement Project. The Bay Trees project was awarded to the contractor by the Board of Directors in November of 2025, and the project was completed on April 24th of 2026. The budget allocated to the project was $1,453,766, The cost of the project was $913,455. The scope of the project included was not limited to pathway reconstruction and ADA access, mostly improving the parking lot and the resurfacing and repavement there, site restorations, new benches and site furnishings, and drinking fountain and picnic area renovations. The good news is that we were able to perform all of the work in this park during that process without interruption of the use of the park by the patrons who care about it so deeply. So we were happy we were able to deliver it quickly and safely. Following the project acceptance, the general manager, by the general manager's staff will record the notice of completion with the Alameda County Recorder's Office and release the balance of project retention unless there are any liens or stop notices that have not been cleared, and currently there are no liens or stop notices. So staff recommends that the Board of Directors by motion adopt a resolution authorizing the general manager to accept completion of the construction contract for the Bay Trees Park Access Improvement Project. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Yes, Director Rosen and then Director Hatcher.
I just want to express my deep felt appreciation for, once again, delivering a project on time, under budget, dramatically under budget. A lot of families use those parking lots from Canyon Middle School. I know this personally, that it's a convenient spot for the public to meet to pick up their kids in the afternoon. And the disruption wasn't, I didn't hear a lot of negative complaints from our friends in the area, so that was really good. I'm just overwhelmed, 1/3 savings pretty much, so well done. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to state that number, $540,000 under budget, so that it's very impressive. I just had a question because on the map in the presentation, it did have a future phase, which is the ramp that goes and subsequent stairs and ramp that would potentially go to the handball court in there. Was that like value engineered off that project at the time? I don't recall. Like that was a part of it and then it was removed, obviously.
Yes, that's right. There were complications with respect to the topography that made it very difficult for the value that we would see that came out of the results. So we concentrated on the areas that were more highly used.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything from the other side?
No comment.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I will add my appreciation for yet another on-time, under-budget project and the coordination. We know how important this asset is to the community, so really appreciate the care in the coordination there. And with that, I will look for a motion.
I'll move.
Thank you. Moved by Director Andrade, seconded by
second.
Director Hodges. Thank you. On the motion.
Okay. Director Andrade,
Aye.
Director Hodges,
Yes?
Director Rosen,
Aye.
Director Hatcher,
Aye.
President Lamnet.
Aye. And that passes unanimously. Thank you very much again. Thank you for the work. That brings us to 9.2, El Rancho Verde.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. I'm Marvin Yee, Senior Bond Project Manager. The item before you is the consideration to approve a task order with Carducci Associates to continue landscape architectural services for the El Rancho Verde Park project. In 2019, the Board of Directors approved the task order with Carducci Associates to prepare a master plan for El Rancho Verde Park, which was subsequently approved by the board in 2020 to retain the park's primary use as ball fields. In 2021, the district acquired the adjacent 90-foot baseball field from the New Haven Unified School District, expanding the project scope to include additional field. In 2024, the board considered options during a study session to add a soccer field, but directed staff to retain the ball field uses while exploring reconfiguration options to address concerns about fly balls affecting homes along Trevor Avenue. However, relocating the 90-foot baseball field adjacent to Chapel of the Chimes Memorial Park away from homes along Trevor Avenue would require shortening the foul lines, which is not desirable. Accordingly, improvements will focus on accessibility, field restoration, and the installation of protective netting to reduce impacts to adjacent properties while maintaining the existing field layout. To advance the project, Carducci Associates submitted a fee proposal in the amount of $217,715 for post-concept architectural services. The scope includes design development, preparation of construction documents, permit processing, bid support, construction support, utility coordination, stormwater compliance, and reimbursable expenses. If approved, construction is anticipated to start in 2027. Staff recommends approval of the task order.
Thank you very much. Any questions from my colleagues? Okay. Start with Director Hatcher this time.
Thanks, Marvin. Just clarity here, under the assumptions, section 8, it states that based on the cost estimate, the electrical and restrooms were not part of it, but then in the summary, it says in the scope that it is the restroom.
That's correct.
And electrical. So I just got a bit contradictory. Is there a restroom and the electrical being contemplated in the design?
The electrical for the field area is not included. However, the restroom is included, but at this time, their scope of services does not include the architectural services related to the restroom building. Once we get further into the design, then we will ask the consultant for a supplemental fee proposal to include the restroom building, and we will bring that back to the board for consideration.
And why was it part of this? I mean, what was the reasoning for it not to be part of this?
We have a very limited budget for the project, so we're starting with the basic field restoration work and then working our way towards the restroom renovations.
Perfect. Great, thank you.
Hi, Marvin, thank you. Can you refresh my memory? I have a couple questions. Can you refresh my memory about this project? Because my memory was when we did have a study session, we talked about rotating the field. You were going to explore that. Did you come back and show the options, or say that or this is the first I'm hearing that it didn't work? Is that what I'm hearing now?
I don't believe that we brought it back after that discussion, but we had gone back with the designers to look at options, and it just wasn't feasible to flip it. I think you were talking about flipping it crosswise.
Yes.
It didn't.
The foul lines weren't going to work? Is that what I'm hearing?
It didn't solve the problem. We still had balls going into the neighborhood beyond, so.
Okay.
It's less expensive to keep it where it is and then solve the problem on, is it Trevor?
Right. I just hadn't, that's the first I'd heard of this until it came before us. And then the other part was, did we actually say to turn it into soccer with baseball? So that change happened without us even looking at it either?
No, so the board was not supportive of having, what we had come back with to get around the problem of having the netting for a 90-foot softball field is, did you want us to convert it to soccer instead of baseball? And that was not supported. So,
right.
So all of El Rancho Verde is baseball, softball oriented.
Okay.
And there isn't a soccer overlay.
Okay, thanks. Because I didn't remember seeing any. Okay, so thank you. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move 9.2.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Or,
I'll second.
okay, thank you. Is there further discussion on this item? Are there things that, yeah. Seeing hesitation and consternation, so anybody want to add voice to that?
Yes. So clarify this then, I guess, Mike. So we're going back to what you originally proposed? And there's now an additional charge by going back to what was originally proposed?
No, the additional charge is that now that we've decided where we want the design to go, this is for moving the design forward through construction drawings.
So we would have still had to pay for the additional
Yes.
construction drawings, even though there's a delay and we asked to explore this?
Exactly, because the agreement before was just to get through the concept level phase. It didn't extend beyond that.
Okay, there's a gap there for me, and I'm just having a problem with that. So thanks.
If I might insert myself, we went out to the community and we told them we were going to redo a park, and I'm sure you recall they came back with this incredibly lofty, way too expensive. The architect, by all best means, just put everything in there, and we couldn't afford to do all that, so we pumped the brakes about that property. We looked at trying to, the cost of trying to redesign it and reevaluate and put it back out there with the 90-foot field. That's when you guys kind of said, no, we don't need soccer. Because the 90-foot fields, as you know, we've had this discussion, they're pretty valuable for us right now. We're down to like 4, I think, maybe 4 or 5. 4, Dwayne, 5. Not a lot. And we took the one out of Tennyson, so the goal was to definitely retain the one at El Rancho Verde. Now we have some ideas of how we can move them, but it didn't really fit. So the concept is, might not change a lot down there from what the amenities are sitting around, but they'll all get fixed and cleaned up and turned into the park that we promised them a few years back, so.
That helps, thank you. So last question about this is this field going to be strictly for Little League, or is it going to be the different bases and changes as needed for some recent discussions about softball and those kind of things? Is this going to have the ability to be flexible use for that when it's being designed?
We're really not advocates. Our new Parks and Facility Maintenance Director is not an advocate of putting like a 60, a 70, and a 90-foot base path all on one field. So this field will remain true to, it is primarily a Little League field. The Little Leagues will have their 2 fields to use, and maybe, I think one's maybe adaptable for T-ball. I haven't looked at the plan in a while. And then we'll keep the 90-foot diamond for non-conflicting use with the Little League field. I don't think if we can't reconfigure the diamond, I don't think there's any way to put like a center field fence across the other infield. So it would really be Little League could play on the big field, right, if they wanted to, or high school or whatever, but we can't put them together with Little League probably. So it'd be Little League on these 2 fields, or maybe on Saturday afternoon, semi-hard ball over here, but not kind of super compatible. But we'll continue to look for options. You know, they have a portable fencing you can put in, you slide the posts in to some sleeves, and you can put an outfield maybe on the big field when you need it, or reverse it for the little field, so that if you were showing up to think you're going to play on the big field and there's a Little League game going on, you won't have a real center fielder, right? So that would discourage you. So I really think now that we're talking about it, looking at maybe some kind of portable outfield fencing like they make for the home run line or whatever for Little League. I mean, right now you play Little League in this field, you smack that ball into left field and it just keeps going and you don't get your over the fence home run. So we'll explore that as we go forward and get into the construction phases in a little more detail.
Thank you, and thank you, Madam President, for sensing my concerns. Yes.
That's what we're here for. All right. What's it? It's a little, well, I am a recreation therapist. I mean, all right. So, are we ready to vote? Okay.
Okay. Director Andrade?
Aye.
Director Hodges?
Aye.
Director Rosen?
Aye.
Director Hatcher?
Aye.
President Lamnon?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Thank you for the work, and we'll see that, looking forward to seeing that come forward to the next iteration. That brings us to 9.3, which is San Lorenzo Community Center, and here we
Madam
sit.
President, no offense to anybody who's presented tonight, but we are now at the most exciting item of the evening.
No argument.
Monty, King Monty.
Good evening, President Lamnon, honorable board members. I'm Monty Boyd, I'm project manager with the bond program. Tonight, I'm introducing item 9.3, asking your board to consider the adoption of a resolution to accept the completion of the San Lorenzo Community Center and Phase 3 Park project. On February 20th, 2024, your board authorized a contract with Cal State Construction for this renovation project. Construction began on April 24th and completed on March of this year. A certificate of occupancy was issued April 21st, 2026. The original project budget was $15,270,000, and the final costs are projected to be $14,650,000. There's still a few final costs straggling in. Following the project's final acceptance, by the general manager, staff will record a notice of completion with the Alameda County Recorder's Office and release the balance of the project retention owed to Cal State Construction. Staff now recommend the Board of Directors by motion approve a resolution for the acceptance of the San Lorenzo Community Center and Phase 3 Park project and authorize the general manager to execute any documents necessary to close the project. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
It's the ghost of the old rec center.
It is. All right, there we go. Okay. Congratulations and thank you. I'll keep that short. Are there questions or comments from my colleagues? Director Rosen.
So I have to say, there's so many good things I could say about this, but I'm going to say something obvious since I've been sitting here. I keep seeing the activity coming out through here, whether it's people with their dogs, whether it's seniors, whether it's young people walking around, kids learning how to ride a bike. I didn't want to bring that one up. I saw that before I got in, but no, I've been able to see so much activity, people playing football, people walking through, people looking at the plants as they walk around. There are so many elements here, and this building actually shines on it. You're able to see all this stuff. I remember it was like a cave before. It was kind of cool architecture, weird, but it's so bright. There's so many features. This is a wonderful project, and you also saved another $500,000, it sounds like, which is another feather in your cap to sit on. So I want to say thanks. I don't see little bits of blue tape everywhere, so you guys did a great job. So I'm very impressed. Well done.
Yeah, and I have the luxury of being in this neighborhood, and so I would walk this park, and see Monty pacing around and watching this literally for day by day, go through. And so by being in this park and having the critical eye, I had maybe 2 or 3 things that maybe came up going, well, that's probably, but I mean, everything just looked good. It was secure. Watching the employees work on the building, hearing the people talk when they walk the park. I mean, all those components, very positive, very well done, professional. And so, to be proud is really an understatement of what is happening here. And I mean, to have this, again, a $40 million park put in right in the middle of this wonderful opportunity site, which what we're going to have, it just beams. So Monty, good work seeing you pacing around the building and making it happen, and the rest of the Capitol staff and your team. Because when I spoke when Director Ladman wasn't here for that, but I was very luckily able to say a few words. But I know you give your thanks to Cal State and the rest of the team. It's really that important because they always kind of sit in the back and. But I always want to meet them, and I think introducing them to us and the rest of our team is really important because they make us all shine, and I'm very humbled by their work and their presence. So they're awesome. Thank you.
I just want to go back to my thing about you saved 500 grand. Even though there were some major engineering hurdles that you had once you peeled back this onion and found some structure, how strongly it had been built and how to deal with the moat that had been around it. And I just, once again, great job. I
grew up in the area too, and this was a really sad park. I mean, it was a huge underutilized park, and this building was kind of clunky. And it was used, but it was not, at its most, it just wasn't used enough considering how big this was. So it's just wonderful the way it's turned out. And I have to say, one anecdote, when I was here at the grand opening, I met a couple who said they lived in San Lorenzo for 50 years, and they recently moved to be closer to the park. So that kind of tells you, my niece lives 2 blocks away, and she's just in love with this park. So I think, she's in a crowded little house, and she's like thinking of moving, but she says, this is such a nice area now, she doesn't want to move. So it's really great. It's really a pat on the back for what we do. I have one technical question. I don't recall that we had solar panels in the original plan, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's part of the energy efficiency project, so we were able to dovetail the 2 projects together.
Okay, and that was, so that was a different budget when that came in?
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, but speaking of Cal State, their flexibility and being able to have a whole nother contractor out here and work schedules together was great. So,
yeah, perfect.
And I don't know if you guys recall, but when we awarded the contract at Cal State, we were in this room when it was a rainy, cold, dingy night. So this is a much better vibe tonight.
Great. Okay.
Well, I could just say ditto, but I think you did a great job. And knowing this, and playing soccer over here, it's just, I guess, you said that people are moving back here, and so thankful. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, as you hear about, as people talk about HARD and tell sort of our story back to us, there are connection points in the community, and this is one of those heartbeats for a lot of the community. So cheers to you, congratulations, and really a remarkable achievement to have it completed, and the energy efficiency, et cetera. Cheers to Cal State as well, and to the Capitol team for really moving projects forward in such a productive way. Go ahead.
I'd like to also thank Brian Lasko, who was the project manager during the design phase. And then we do have Michael Drasnin from Mac 5, who was our construction manager through this project. So I want to thank you to them as well.
Yeah, Michael's
Absolutely.
here tonight.
Congratulations to you both. Thank you. And thank you, Megan. Thank you for making this all happen, all of you. One question, because the community is outside, even though you can't see them right now, going open, open, open. So is there a sense of approximate, I'm not holding anybody to anything, but.
At this time, you have accepted the project. We have completed the punch list, so we're probably ready to put people in the building, but that is a complete determination with Adrian. Any additional thing, I mean, we're running programs this summer, it's coming. It's
So,
coming. and
summer-ish.
People have asked to use it, and I think we have some events coming here, so yes, it's coming.
Beautiful. All right. So says the groundhog. All right, anything else? Otherwise, I will accept a motion.
I'll move 9.3.
Thank you, Director Hatcher. Yes. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Moved by Director Hatcher, seconded by Director Andrade. And I'm still assuming, I forgot to ask, but I'm assuming we still have no public comments on any of these items.
Correct.
Great. Then we'll move to the vote.
Director Andrade?
Yes.
Director Hodges?
Yes.
Director Rosen?
Yes.
Director Hatcher?
Yes.
President Lamnon?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. Well done. All right, that brings us to other business. Goings on from my colleagues. Director Hodges, anything to report? Please put your mic on.
Tried. Saturday, went to, let's see, where is it? The Kenneth Community Center, and where they were holding the youth summer summit. And it was just amazing what staff was doing with those kids. When I used to coach under 19 girls, I couldn't keep the girls chatter sometimes, and I couldn't believe how well-mannered the group of kids that Noel and Jenny had, and I'm really impressed with what the work staff has been doing over there. And then the last thing is, I guess on Friday, I had the pleasure of walking around part of the Grove Way and Carlos P. Park, and it was amazing to see the inner parts. I think Rick can do a better job of seeing what we saw there, because it's so hidden. You drive by it every day, and I could see some of the aerobic stuff, but did a nice job on the fences and all. And with that, that's it.
I went to, regarding HASPA, I went to the Unincorporated Services meeting in San Lorenzo, and the county planning staff made a presentation about joining HASPA, so that for the county to join HASPA. And I was there to support it, and the two supervisors, Lena Tam and Nate Miley, were there, and they seemed very interested in. And I think there's 5 votes because the supervisor from, who used to be city council, I can't. District 2. Yeah, District 2. She's aware of HASPA and has been around, for a while of it. So it seems like it's gonna happen. I mean, I don't know what the process is, but it was very positive. And then I also went regarding HASPA to the Save the Bay had sponsored a field trip in Palo Alto for their horizontal levee, which was more of a rally, trying to get people involved in it. It wasn't that impressive, even though when you do the section, of the soil, it's very small. It's right next to the sewage treatment plant. I don't think it's more than an acre, but it's sort of like a prototype of what could happen. And so it was good to meet a lot of people. And it's interesting to see how they're dealing with sea level rise on that side of the bay, which I think could inspire us on this side. So, so there's some positive things regarding HASPA. So I'll just leave my comments to HASPA, and everybody else can talk about hard features.
Fair enough. Thank you. I'll start outside in again.
Okay. We had the pleasure of going to the Castro Valley MAC meeting last week, and thankfully Thomas was there with me, Thomas Amalo, and we were there to ask the MAC to approve the in lieu fee allocation to be spent towards the design and initial construction of Laurel Park. And it was interesting hearing some of the comments and some of the questions from some of the MAC members, but they were generally supportive. They were supportive of us. It was funny because one of the MAC members was questioning why there weren't drawings, and we'd gone over why there weren't drawings yet because we actually were running it by the community. And so that was good. We got their support, and Thomas did a great job. I also went to the Laurel meeting at Laurel School. I went there a little late, but I was able to see Brian and Megan and the team, and more importantly, talk to a couple community members, but got to see the preferences. I got to see the dots. I got to see the voids. There was a lot of, we don't want this, basically. It was pretty obvious, and that was helpful. And then I went on my own yesterday? Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. I went to Greenwood Park, which somehow I haven't been to that park before. And
Slide down the mountain?
no, but I did walk up it. And basketball courts, there wasn't it was clean. There weren't a whole lot of weeds. There were a lot of kids playing. Families would come by, and then they'd play for a bit, and then they'd go take them. It's a great neighborhood park, and it was in really good shape. And it's got a good flow and a vibe. I really liked that park. I was impressed, so good job.
I attended, sat in HLAC with President Lamnon and Hayward Unified School District with the City of Hayward. I think the comment at the end of the meeting was like, what an incredibly well-run meeting and cordial. So I think that's always an attribute to how we run our meetings. Just topics of that meeting were the safe roads, safe streets that's being proposed by the City of Hayward, as well as the Youth Master Plan discussion, which our General Manager did a presentation on, as well as Adrian and Reka did some of our budget updates, at least a summation to the city and to the school district. I did attend the Hard Trail Summit that was put on by Michael C. Williams. It also included WRT, as well as the National Park Service at the Douglas Morrison Theater. Relatively well attended for a late afternoon on a Friday. There was 2 walks that went to each of the different parts of the trail, one behind the Ruby Meadow Trail that's along the new development along there. And then there was a panel discussion as well as a documentary on the Rails to Trails around the nation. It's a very good stories. If anybody wants to see that, I'm sure we can get another copy put out there. But again, put very well. We gave Michael a wonderful. People were very impressed with how it was run and the content that was there and the kind of the open, free flow of information going between the folks. Saturday, I did some cleanup on the San Lorenzo Creek, the De Anza Park there, which of course has our sign on it. So everybody says, well, what is your park here? Which is interesting because it just kind of goes down to a little landing there, but pulled out some tough material from the creek, but it's always good to work with RCD, Resource for Community. No, this is the Resource for Conservation District and the Earth Team and the Friends of San Lorenzo Creek. Attended also the Hard Youth Summit there at the Aiken Senior Center, and I agree it was incredibly well put together. I know that was Armando's baby there, so I want to give great thanks for his organization and bringing the folks together. The kids, again, I agree, they listened, they seemed very well receptive to the breakouts, and I just kind of was observing for about an hour there, and that was great to be a part of. I did take a stroll at the Mika State Ag Center, which was open, had a nice conversation with Maureen, who was kind of giving me a summation of what they're doing there and the details of some of the neighbors who were coming into there. And it's great to see the Ag Park open with not only the carriage house, but with the Mika State. I think that great combination there, because you got a free flow of people cruising through it and being able to be informed, and everybody that I saw had never been into the carriage house. So it's always great to look at that as an entry level of like, hey, this is what's going on in our community. I didn't know this was going on. It was at the Hayward Senior Center. It was a bike event. CTC coordinators there for the Bike East Bay. WRT was there. I just hadn't heard about it. I was in another meeting the day before. They're looking at some traffic flow patterns around biking, pedestrian, around some key areas of Foothill and Maddox, which is right butted up to Parcel 8, as well as Redwood Road and Grove. So some key, like I said, I hadn't seen, but it was very unattended. I think it was like 8 to 10 consultants there and maybe 2 community members. So I need to get a little more information about how that was put out there. At the end of the day,
Just for the record, that was not our event.
That was not.
We waived fees for them to use the center. They didn't include us, they didn't ask us, and so we didn't tell you, sorry.
No, that's okay. No, it's just, but end of the day on the native plant tour, which happens each year around this time of year, and it's really nice to sit in a native plant garden at the end of the day. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. I echo the comments on HLAC and the Youth Summit, and then I'll also add appreciation, Marinita's presentation at the Special Education Town Hall for Hayward Unified were really showcased us excellently, and people did seem interested in our services, and hopefully we'll get a couple people interested into the working group as well, but really appreciate that connection. Thank you. And I will turn it over to our General Manager.
Union Board President Lamnin, Jim Wheeler, General Manager. Tomorrow we meet with the county to talk about the old CV library. Tomorrow night I go to the Fairview MAC to give them a much shorter version of Tales of the Parkside because it will just focus on Fairview. Unfortunately, tonight ran pretty long because I don't know the last time we put everything in there. I meet with the Foundation Board Executive Committee tomorrow morning to talk about the bond and what we're doing with the bond and why we won't be moving forward, to tell them personally and thank them for all their help and support to get us to that point. We have a public art meeting about the plunge for the something we're trying to do for Robin Toussaint with some artists, I think, on Wednesday. I'm off Thursday. I'm out next week. Nicole Rowe will be the acting general manager. Friday morning, we host Leadership Hayward. What time does it start? 9 a.m. if you want to come by and be introduced in those first few slides when we do the Tales from the Parkside and you're available. And then Greenwood, Director Taylor, if you could figure out who maintains Greenwood and let them know that they were called out at the board meeting, that would be appreciated. And that's it.
Good evening, Adrienne Lieber, Director of Recreation, Arts and Community Services. Everyone has basically mentioned most of it because you all are out in the community so often, which is wonderful, and we love to have you. But a little more on this youth summit. We had almost 50 youth there. It was our pilot and a project of Armando Garibay, who works with us 0.5 of the time, and he's actually a graduating senior at Cal State East Bay in Recreation. So it was his capstone project, which was nice, but we want to continue it on past this year. So we expect it to keep growing, and it was really nice that Jim was able to come and do the keynote and then kind of kick off the discussions for the Youth Master Plan. We were also actually at the Cinco de Mayo event downtown on Saturday, so that was a really nice event. We had our rock wall and our stage there to support them. And we also had a little special event for families called the Magical Day in May at Sorensdale on Saturday with 100 participants. And I think that's about it. Thanks.
Rennie knows magic show.
No.
Adrian, was there a Paint Your Shoe event? I had that on my calendar. A Paint Your Shoe event.
Oh, yeah, so that was actually one of the, so the Youth Summit started with the keynote, a tabletop discussion, then they had 2 different education sessions, things like Budgeting 101, entrepreneurship, youth leadership, anti-bullying, and then those are the first 2 sessions, and then the last session of the day, they were kind of enrichment sessions, so one was customization of your sneakers, henna tattoos, essential oils, and yoga, and all of that. Yeah.
Good evening, Honorable Board. Megan Tiernan, Capital Planning and Development Director. WRT submitted 2 projects to the Northern California chapter of the American Society of Landscape Architects. And so Ashlyn Zocalo won an honor award for design, and the Foothill Trail Master Plan won a merit award for planning. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good evening, President Lamnin and honorable members of the board. I'm Dwayne Taylor, Parks and Facilities Maintenance Director. So I have 2 updates for you tonight, both on a positive note. So first is that last Friday, one of our parks staff attended the Eden ROP mock interview session. So there were approximately 50 Eden ROP students. We didn't interview 50, but the point of the day was to help them with like interview preparation and developing skills. So we spoke with them more on like an equipment maintenance perspective, but it was really, we had really positive reviews, and we think it was really valuable for some of those students as they look to enter the workforce. Second thing is about Tennyson Park. So we received some very positive feedback on the conditions of that grass soccer field. This is the one that we installed the Bermuda in. So last Friday, our turf and water supervisor was on site. He encountered an NFL player and their performance coach utilizing the field for to run drills and things of that nature. And so they said that he went over to them to ask, how do they think what do they think of the field? He wanted a testimony. And so they told him that they were very impressed, and they couldn't believe that it was a municipality with this quality of a field. And so he was kind of blown away by that. But, but I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that, that field is really, really nice, and it's cutting edge grass, and really people are impressed with it. And so it's really, in my mind, it's kind of a crown jewel for us from a sports perspective. And so, that's one of the things we were looking for when we installed that, and it's really positive feedback that we received, and the staff is really happy about it. Lower water use, exactly. And we're sub-metering that, by the way. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'm not going to beat that. I have no update.
Fair enough. All right. Yes.
So we actually got another award too. Our CARPD, we received an award, an outstanding new facility for the Ashland Root Center.
Tell them what they win.
We also, unfortunately, the following did not win: outstanding renovated facility, Tennyson Park; outstanding activity program, special event, Camp Create; outstanding innovation, data-driven park investment and operational model; and community landmark, the Douglas Morrison Theater.
Which just tells me that they're tired of giving us awards.
Maybe they need a new board member on their board.
So 1 out of 5 isn't bad. So yes, leadership payroll will be 9 o'clock at the Douglas Morrison Theater if you'd like to join us on Friday. And all of the upcoming events and information will come out to you in a newsletter this week.
Well, cheers to the team and for the applications. It's all good work regardless of whether or not we get the award. Exactly. All right. Seeing no other business, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Ladna and Les.